I've started recording. Right, so let's just get this going. Oh. So, hi Keith.
Hello.
Right. Last week you were a bit quiet, but this week I've got the loudspeaker on. Okay. Right. So welcome everyone back to the 17th week of the spiritual journey. We've got 17. We know that that is something very good. Yes, when you talk about 17. Yes. And it's the second year, so it's double, if you like. It's a double 17. I hope you've had a good week, Keith.
Yes.
Well, Happy New Year. Well, I'm quite positive about this year. Yes.
Well, I suppose the world
Definitely. Okay, so it's 2021. So looking at it from numerology, yes, that's 2021. That's 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1, which equals 5. Yes. Now 5 is a time of transformation. Yes, out of 2020. Yes, which was a 4. Yes, representing cycles. Yes, so it's going round and round in cycles. Into 5, a higher level of understanding, freedom, and change. So 5 is the number of your hand. Yes, five digits. Yes. So every 9 years, when the year adds up to 5, you can really get things done. Yes, it's all hands on deck, so to speak. Yeah. You've heard of that expression. Yeah. Also, it's the number of the Hierophant, tarot card number 5, and the 5th house of the zodiac, which is to do with artistic endeavors and having fun. So it could be a fun year. Yes. So can you remember? Well, let me just add something to that. Something I've just thought of, because you see, when we talk about cycles, and we talked about cycles last week, we didn't speak about the cycles of 1 to 9. Yes, which is contained in the year date. Yes, so that's another cycle, and in that cycle we're we're on the number 5, and the number 5 is to do with balance. Yes, so this year will be a balancing out of you could say good and bad forces in a way. Yes, deciding on what the next 4 years are going to be like. Yes, and it's good because it's the 5th today, which is a balancing point as well. But tomorrow it's a special day. Yes. Do you know what's happening tomorrow? Well, if I was to put a crown on my head, would you know? Well, if I was to put a crown on your head, would you know? No? Epiphany.
Oh.
The 3 kings, yes. The Magi, yes. But not only that, yes, it's when they should be crowning the new Jesus, so to speak. Yes. In America, yes, it's when the college houses put all the votes together and decide who's going to be the new president.
Oh, yeah.
So that should be decided tomorrow as well. But there could be a delay because of the voting problem over there with voting machines and yes, there seems to be a lot of problems. There's something like I can't remember how many 2,200,000 affidavits. Yes, people that have complained about discrepancies with the voting. So that should be looked at too. Yeah, which that's another thing. That's another balance that's coming out. So, can you remember what we looked at last meeting? No. Well, if I was to say to you, Heidelweiss, would that remind you? Yes, we had snow. Yes. We were talking about flowers. You remember now? Briefly. Okay. Now, today, I'd like to look at the difference between the astral domain and the ethereal domain. Yes? Yes. Now, first, what is the astral domain and what is it made of? Yes, that's something that you need to get your head around, really. Now, the biological environment of the planet makes up the astral domain. Yes? All that is biological. In fact, everything on a planetary level. Yes? I mean, we can even talk about rocks. Yes? All that has happened since the biological nature of this planet started to form. That's what it's made up of. That's what the astral domain. Yeah, it's manufactured from that. Now, all living things radiate into the atmosphere. And over time, that radiation forms a sort of magnetic electrical atmosphere on the surface of the planet. So now that radiation fills up the troposphere. Yes, that's the first 12 miles of our atmosphere. Yeah, so we're talking about the troposphere is the lowest layer of the Earth's atmosphere. We talked about this before. The troposphere starts at the Earth's surface and goes up to a height of 7 to 20 kilometers. Yes, depending on the day and on the place in the planet. Now that's 4 to 12 miles, or 23,000 to 65,000 feet above sea level. Now, most of the mass, about 75 to 80% of the atmosphere, is in the troposphere. Almost all weather occurs within this layer. Air is warmest at the bottom of the troposphere, near ground level. Higher up, it gets colder. And that's quite interesting to know, yes? Now, air pressure and the density of the air are also less at high altitudes. The layer above the troposphere is called the stratosphere. Yes? Now, nearly all the water vapor and dust particles in the atmosphere are in the troposphere. That's why most clouds are found in this lowest layer too, the bottom of the troposphere, right next to the surface of Earth. This is called the boundary layer. In places where the Earth's surface is bumpy, mountains, forests, winds in the boundary layer are all jumbled up. In smooth places over water or ice, the winds are smoother. The winds above the boundary layer aren't affected by the surface much. Now, I can give you a link for that. That'll be on the PDF. Now, so this electromagnetic field then is the domain of the astral, the heavier part of which is near the ground, the lighter part near the stratosphere, near the top. Yes, it is divided into 7 levels. However, from my comprehension, all the 7 levels are in the same space that surround an individual. So when you breathe, you can breathe in all 7 levels according to what the sheet of your aura will allow through. And that depends upon your own development and mindset. So the astral is manufactured out of the electromagnetic radiations of life forms and weather patterns. Rain, for instance, will invigorate the astral, whereas the sun and heat would dissipate the astral domain. Everything you do is recorded in the astral domain. It's like a magnetic tape recorder. For instance, when you are in a room alone, that room will fill up with your astral presence. Everything you do will be recorded as well in the walls of that room. So it radiates out from you into the atmosphere, and it goes into the walls too. So if you have an argument, that is radiated out of you electromagnetically. If you work in a factory, that will build up a record of your work. So if your employer is sensitive enough, he will be able to feel, yes, if you have been working or not. Yes, so be careful. So when you walk down the street or anywhere, yes, when you walk around, your electrical, magnetic, astral radiations will drag behind you. Yes, so you can leave your mark wherever you go. Either a low or a high astral content will be left behind wherever you walk. The astral of the human resides below the knees and the ankles. Well, the ankles are where the electromagnetic wings of your astral form will be if you are able to astral travel. So you have astral wings. Now, the astral domain is where most people spend their entire lives. It's basically the level of general habitual living on many levels, on those 7 levels. So if we think back to the War Memorial, I'll put the link in the comment section of the YouTube video, yes, for the War Memorial. You will notice that there are 2 compass markings on the ground showing the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south. If you use a compass anywhere in the world, it will give a direction reading unless you are in the North or South Pole. So you can know that the magnetics are spread all over the Earth's surface. But the compass point would point down or up if you're in the magnetic North or the South Pole. There you would also encounter the Aurora Borealis, yes, which is the portal for the ethereal light to enter into the planet. It is so fine, it would sit above the astral domain in the stratosphere. So, coming back to the War Memorial, and like I say, you could always relook at the video that we made of that to have a look at everything that we looked at the War Memorial, and the link will be below on the YouTube channel, and on my it will also be on the Universal Academy page on the website. Yes, the Universal Spiritual Academy website. And so you can have a look at that if you want to have a look at it again, and you can have a look at it section by section, slowing it down and looking at different things. So when you go to the War Memorial, or when you look at the video, you can see the winged horse, a unicorn, and the crown. Now, those things, they are all representing some things that reside in the ethereal domain. That is where you would expect to find the Christian heaven. Yes, a priest would naturally have a connection to this level, but would give the congregation a more astral level, keeping the higher level for themselves. The Christian heaven would be a mild form of what is possible. Perhaps that's why I saw a faint light around the head of the priest Neil. Yes, remember we talked about that? Okay, so, well, one day I saw him with a very faint light around his head, just around here. Yes. Now you would also expect to find this level of atmosphere in certain temples. Yes, with their priest having a connection too. So in churches and in temples. Yes. Now there's a link for the Aurora Borealis. Now we've already looked at the different layers of the Earth's atmosphere and the levels of the aura. So in the human, the Aurora Borealis, remember we said that's like the portal for the ethereal light to enter. Now, in the human, the Aurora Borealis would be seen as the radiations that emanate from the solar plexus. Yes, and these radiations would come out all the time into the aura. Yes. Now, the emanations would depend on the mental activity, processes, and connections of the individual. So the heavier astral connections would fall below the knees, whilst if the individual has any ethereal content, that would collect around the head. That's where you would expect to find the ethereal wings, like on Asterix. You remember Asterix? Yes? Who wears the wings on his head? Yes? So those are ethereal wings. Yes? So you have the astral wings on the ankles. Yes? Now that's suggesting conscious mental activity and the ability to fly in the ethereal domain. In the film, The Yellow Brick Road, remember that film? You certainly do. Okay, now Dorothy goes up to the ethereal. Hang on, let me just check this. A minute. Right. Okay, now Dorothy goes up to the ethereal. Yes, realms with all sorts of life forms. You remember that? She goes up there to meet all these munchkins and whatever. You remember that, Keith? You do. Okay. So the Aurora Borealis is another name for the northern lights in the North Pole, where the South Pole is called the Southern Lights or Aurora Australis. Aurora displays many colors, but the most frequent is the color of light green and pink. Red, yellow, green, and blue have appeared several times as well. Aurora Borealis, the wonderful light in the North Pole sky. Yes, the entry pole to the ethereal domain. Well, to ethereal light. So there's a link for that as well on the PDF. Now, personally, I have been to these realms. I remember once, some months back, being in a like state, semi-dream-like state, and suddenly, similar to Dorothy's experience, there was like an electrical storm, and I was lifted up in a way, or rather, what I felt and what I saw. I was lifted up to see a couple of giants who reside in those realms. They simply looked down at me. That was all. That was really basically my experience. But when you go up there flying, that's really where you can see the ethereal domain. Yes. Now, this was, as Dorothy puts it, over the 7 levels of the astral rainbow. Yes, she sings that song. Do you remember that song? Okay, so there we're talking about the ethereal domain, which is over the 7 levels. Now, to finish today, some heavenly bodies. Yes, we're talking about the ethereal and the ethereal light. So I'd like to look at the metals that go with the planets. Yes. Now, those metals, for the sun, it's gold. The moon, silver. Mars, iron. Mercury, the metal mercury. Jupiter would be tin. Venus, copper, and Saturn, lead. Okay, so that's all for this week. Yes, I hope to see you. Well, I hope to see you sometime in the week. Yes, but we'll also meet again here on my channel on the 18th week, for the 18th week of the spiritual journey, 2nd year, and that will be on the 12th of January 2020. So there's a lot of 1212021 for that date. That's like a binary system. That will be half term for the 2nd semester. So after that, there will be a 3-week holiday until the 9th of February, so you'll be on holiday. Okay? Okay, so we'll finish there for today. It's very good to speak to you again. Yes? Do have a wonderful week, and I shall undoubtedly see you in the week. Yes? But it's bye from me. Bye. Thank you. Bye.